Hello everyone and welcome to Golden Nova's First Reacts, where I react first to all the things you want to see reacted to first, as long as I'm the first person you come to react to things first. But it's not Supreme Darkness spoilers this time. No, we're switching gears to Terminal World 2. We've seen Fabled, we've seen Jurak, and now it seems we're moving on to Age 2.0 with Gem Knights. Now this guy shouldn't really be around right now. We definitively saw at the end of the Zephyra arc that him and either Lapis or Lazuli, I can't tell those two apart, I'm the lore master and I can't get those two untangled, walked off into the afterlife together. So this has got to be some kind of interim version of Gem Knight Master Diamond / Crystal. But anyway, I'm just happy to get more Gem Knight cards because they're really cool, and these ones are canonical to the story. Fun fact, in Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V, there was a series of students who all used dual terminal archetypes, but none of their cards can be considered canon to anything because that's all anime continuity. So no Lady Brilliant Diamond, no Rose Diamonds. This stuff is pure 100% in the story. Let's take a look and see what they've got in store for us this time around. Gem Knight Master Knight Dispersion. Level 9 Earth Rock Fusion monster requiring 3 gem monsters as material. You can only use each of the 1 and 2 effect of this card's name once per turn. During the main phase, as a quick effect, you can send this card from the field to the graveyard to special summon up to 3 non-rock gem monsters with different names from your extra deck and your graveyard, ignoring summoning conditions. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except fusion monsters. And 2, when your Gem Knight fusion monster is destroyed by battle while this card is in the graveyard, you can special summon this card. Oh, okay. So this first effect here is not a if this card was properly summoned effect. You just get to do it anytime it's on the field. So it turns into 3 non-rock Gem Knights with different names from the extra and or graveyard. So a very few Gem Knights are actually rocks. We run the gamut between fairies, thunder, pyro, aquas, all those things. There's actually quite a few choices and you just get to summon them out for free. The problem is that some of the best ones are rocks, but getting access to a bunch of them does give you a ton of options. And then if any of those fusion monsters are destroyed by battle specifically, you get to bring it back so you can do it all over again. That's a pretty good effect off of a 3-mat fusion. I'm looking forward to seeing what combos this goes into. Alright, next up is Gem Knight Construct. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, whichever one is the opposite of Lapis or Lazuli, the one that went away, they became the basis on which Shaddoll Construct was made. So this is cool. It's like they've come full circle back to being a Gem Knight, but still retain their Shaddoll Construct powers. I dig that. Level 4 Light Fairy monster. You can only use each of the first, second, and third effect of this card once per turn. If this... We don't have time for that right now. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add a Gem Knight card from your deck to your hand, except a copy of this card. Also, during the main phase of this turn, have any effect damage your opponent takes. Okay, that's awesome. So another thing about Gem Knights, if you don't know, they are notoriously good at FTKing using effect damage by recycling the effect of Gem Knight Lady Lapis Lazuli. So the fact that they added a way to have effect damage to kind of curb the effectiveness of the Gem Knight FTK is very, very funny. Dealing 8,000 points of damage is fairly easy. 16,000 might be a bit difficult, but I do like that we have a Stratos now. So that's cool. During your main phase, you can immediately after this effect resolves normal summon a gem monster. Oh, so it's also so you can normal summon it, search a Gem Knight, and then normal summon it. If this card is sent from the hand or deck to the graveyard, not from the field, you can send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon this card. So it's the perfect fusion material. None of these effects are exclusive. So you want to fuse with it either from the deck with, oh god, if they bring Brilliant Fusion back, can you imagine? They won't do that, so there'll be some kind of other effect. You bring you send this out from the hand, like you normally fuse it out of the hand, or you use some kind of way to cheat it. Like maybe with Shaddoll Fusion, maybe? I don't know. So this is the graveyard. Summons itself. We have to send a card from our hand to the graveyard, so it's not free. But we pitch a card as an effect, so it triggers any effects, like the Shaddoll monsters. Add the Gem Knight, have the effect of damage, you know, woo. And then you get to normal summon it. This is a radical card, oh my god. Yeah, that's incredible. Alright, Gem Knight Void Roots, level 7 Dark Monster. It's actually a Fiend. Our first Fiend Gem Knight. Level 7 Dark Fiend, 1950 attack, 2450 defense. It's got that Karen Gorgon stats. You can only use each of the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn. You can send a Gem Knight normal monster or a Gem Knight fusion from your deck to the graveyard to special summon this card from your hand in defense position. Oh no, setting up Gem Knight fusion so we can infinitely recur it over and over again. Say it ain't so. When your opponent activates an effect while you control a Gem Knight fusion monster as a quick effect, you can banish 3 Gem Knight cards from your graveyard, including this card, to negate that effect. Then all Gem Knight monsters you control gain 1000 attack permanently. That is any effect. It doesn't destroy the card, but it does negate the effect while you have a Gem Knight fusion, and they get a huge boost. This card is bonkers. This card is also one half of one of the Zephyra. I forget. It's not Zephyr Naga. Maybe it's Nail Shaddoll Zephyrcore, something like that. But this is definitely looks like one half of that. So I guess it got purified or something. That's also why it looks a lot like Crystal, because Crystal has a whole story of being absorbed and taken apart and reattached and all that kind of stuff. So it makes sense that eventually we would get a second one. And then lastly, Gem Knight Dispersion. Normal spell card. Activate one of the following effects. You can only select each effect once per turn. So this card is not once per turn, but the effects on them are. So if you grab 2 of them, you can do both. The first effect, Fusion, summons a Gem Knight monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand and or field as material. If Gem Knight Fusion is in your graveyard, you can use up to 2 non-rock Gem Knight monsters from your deck and or extra deck as material. Okay, now it says non-rock, so I think that gets like the worst of them out there. But like Seraphonite's, well, I guess we don't care about the material being used. Oh, that's really, really good. Once you get Gem Knight Fusion into rotation, which is pretty easy to do already with beforehand, but now we have Void Roots to help with that. So now you can fuse with up to 2. So we do have a Shaddoll Fusion right now. Like not all of them use 2 material. A lot of them do. In fact, this makes some of the other ones that are like more specialized comically easy to make if you keep the material around. But now you can summon your 3 material ones super easy, because the materials that are being sent are non-rock, but you can fusion summon any Gem Knight with this. So we're talking Knight Dispersion, which has the ability to turn into even more Gem Knights. You can go into Master Diamond, you can go into Lady Diamond with this. That's incredible. And all we have to do is have a Gem Knight Fusion in graveyard. There's no other requirements on this one. That's heinous. Add a gem monster, or you can add a gem monster from your deck or banishment to your hand. Also during the main phase, have any effect damage your opponent controls. Okay, so that it's also a Rhoda. So it also searches. My God. And like another thing we can do is, because we're sending material directly from the deck. Hello, Gem Knight Construct. Oh Lord. Okay, so first up, very glad that they have taken steps to make sure our opponent is not dying from effect damage. It's very funny that it only has effect damage during the main phase of this turn, which will of course be both main phases. You can't just go to one main phase, go to battle phase, and then, oh, I don't have to do it, not have it anymore. I just gotta wonder if there's a way to do the effect damage during the battle phase. There's no way to, but it would be funny. Yeah, every one of these cards is outrageous. So to attempt to try to break this down into like smaller chunks, we have a fusion monster that can turn into 3 of, if not the most powerful, then some of the most powerful fusion monsters we have access to, that can come back if any of them are destroyed by battle, which is easily accessible by the fusion spell that we just got that is at base level a polymerization that can turn into a Shaddoll fusion, which we can send to Graveyard Construct, which will summon itself with but a single discard to not only search us out a Gem Knight card, but also apply the Constellar Sombre special power of adding an extra normal summon of our gems, and a way to get Gem Knight Fusion into the graveyard very easily to obtain the additional bonus from our new fusion spell is with Void Roots, who is itself a Fiend monster and a Dark, which I believe are firsts for the Gem Knight conglomerate, which means that things that care about having different types of attributes are going to find a lot of utility with this one, to say nothing of the fact that it is now also an Omni Negate from the graveyard that boosts your power. These 4 cards are ridiculous, and you know that I'm skeptical about the cards that get shown on here as being very powerful, but when you print a branded fusion, you cannot underestimate the kinds of nonsense you can do with this. I'm fairly certain that we are going to see a Gem Knight renaissance with these cards. This could see tiered play with cards like this. These are outrageous. Definitely looking forward to seeing how all of these play out in paper. I would like to ask all of you what your thoughts are down below, if I missed any combos. There's not really any... Oh, well, no, I can't lie. This is very lore significant. These cards are after the fact, but then why is Gem Knight Master Diamond here? If this is after the fact of Age 3.0, I mean, I get Void Roots, but why is this guy here? I'm so confused. I'm happy to see new cards for Dual Terminal, but I have been constantly disappointed by the story that are being told by these cards. The closest thing I've been happy about is the fact that we have a Steel Swarm Origin confirmation from the Fabled stuff, but sometimes these are just... I don't know. Let me know down below, what are your thoughts on this? While you're culminating your thoughts, I'm going to cover a few other cards that came out the past couple of days that I didn't have time to cover. I have read them, so these aren't really a first react, but I want to share my thoughts on them anyway. First up are the Primite cards. We talked about this a while ago. We have an explained video up now about the big Primite cards that care about having normal monsters in general. Now we have the addition of the smaller ones, which I predicted we would see smaller ones, though I suspected we see some kind of normal monster, but I guess there's enough of those to cover what it needs. Primite, another barrel, barrel as in the crystal, because they're very funny. Level 4 Earth Dragon, you can only use each of the first and second effect of this card once per turn. If this card is normal summoned, you can set a Primite spell or trap card directly from your deck. Our archetype is primarily made of spell and trap cards, so being able to set all of them is pretty nifty. You can tribute this card to send a normal monster from your deck to the graveyard. I would have liked to see it being put to the field so we could tribute it for the level 6 one, but because we have another normal monster in graveyard, we expand the options for things that the big guy will banish and negate, or it negates everything, but what it banishes when it hits the field. And last effect, during your standby phase, if a normal monster is on your field or in your graveyard, you can add this card from your graveyard to your hand, so this just keeps recurring over and over again. You summon it, you get a Primite, tribute it, send that normal monster. The normal monster is going to be in there because you sent it with the tribute effect, so you'll get this back, so it'll over and over and over and over again. Primite Echoed Roar, you can only use the first and second effect of this card once per turn. When your opponent normal or special summons any number of monsters and you control a non-token normal monster or a level 5 or higher Primite monster, you can negate the summon and banish those monsters. This is a counter trap, by the way, so very little is interrupting this. During your standby phase, if you control a Primite monster, you can set this card from your graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field. So the idea here would be to try and set this using Barrel. You can set any of the spell and traps with Barrel, but primarily this is a really good one, especially if you're going first. Land a normal monster or the big Primite so that you can banish a inherent summon. And then When it rolls back around to your turn, you just reset the Echoed Roar to use it again for the following turn. That's 2 turns of summon negation that you just get to have, and it banishes. So this is a very welcome addition to the theme. We saw that it talked about level 5 or higher Primites last time, so we have our normal summonable one so that we have something to get the ball rolling. It's not a lot of a boost. I don't know if it changes much about it, but it definitely gives the deck a extra little tool and smooths things over. The one that I'm more excited to talk about is the new Metal Morph cards. We had the Max Metal Morphs to update the Red Eyes Metal Dragon. Oh, I forget what the regular. It's not Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon because that's Red Mid, and that was a GX creation. And then Red Eyes Darkness Dragon is the Night Shroud version, so it's Red Eyes Metal Dragon. I was going to say that. The point is that it has that, and Metal Zoa were all updated because of the fight between Joey and Bandit Keith, and they have decided to expand the roster into another one of Joey's monsters. Flame Swordsman is here, which means you could potentially add all those to the new Flame Swordsman cards, and that's pretty exciting, I think. First up we have Metal Flame Swordsman. Level 6 machine monster, cannot be normal summoned or set, must first be special summoned with Max Metal Morph that was activated by tributing a level 5 or higher warrior monster. You can only use the first effect of this card once per turn. You can reveal this card in your hand to add a card that mentions Max Metal Morph, except a copy of this card from your deck to your hand, I presume. And if you do, shuffle this card into the deck. So I believe that's pretty standard across all of the monsters, or at least the ones that you intend to summon. You want to have Max Metal Morph summon it out of your deck with its own effect, so these guys inherently put themselves back into the deck so you can summon it. We have come a long, long way when it comes to designing cards like this. I am so glad that their in-hand effects help facilitate that, so when you draw them, it's not just completely worthless. And each time your opponent activates an effect, this card gains 300 attack, and if it does, inflict 500 damage to your opponent. Metal Flame Swordsman already starts out at a respectable 2500, but it is not once per turn. That is right, we have another Taxman. Anytime they activate an effect, they get burned for 500. Now it is damage, and there's more ways to mitigate damage in this game than there is to just deal with, like, loses life or have to pay life for something. But the boost is permanent, and the life point damage is gonna be pretty permanent too, so get this out soon enough and your opponent's gonna have to figure out the shortest line to clearing out your Metal Flame Swordsman. To combine with that, we have Metal Morph Flame Coating. You can only activate this card once per turn. It tributes a face-up monster you control that mentions Max Metal Morph to special summon from your deck a monster that mentions Max Metal Morph and cannot be normal summoned or set, ignoring its summoning conditions. Then equip this card to it as an equipped card with the following effect. If the equipped monster would be destroyed by a battle or card effect, you can send this card to the graveyard instead. This one I'm a little cooler on. So it tributes any face-up monster you control that mentions Max Metal Morph. So it doesn't necessarily have to be these ones. There's also the Magician, the metal shapeshifter, the guy. So that's like one of the better targets, even though it already helps to get you the types you need to summon out whichever specific Metal Morph card you want. But the fact that you would take like the big ones that you've invested in and just swap them over to a different one just to give them an armor that keeps them safe from one piece of destruction, I don't know. I'm not super sold on flame coating. I feel like it's weird. I might be missing something. And maybe we'll get more Max Metal Morph cards down the road that make for better targets for flame coating. But right now, I'm not really feeling it. But I am really feeling Metal Flame Swordsman, right? You can put some of those cards in the Flame Swordsman deck. I believe you can search out Metal Flame Swordsman with a Fighting Flame Sword. That puts it in your hand to search the Max Metal Morph, and conveniently, you need to tribute a level 5 or higher monster. Well, Flame Swordsman is a level 5 warrior monster, so if you can summon it out with, I think it's Sword's Realm, you've got everything you need. So this is a pretty nifty introduction. I don't think it makes either the Metal Morph deck or the Flame Swordsman deck that much more powerful, but it's fun to have options. Okay, that about catches us up with everything that we have right here, so Let me know your thoughts down below on all these cards, but especially the Gem Knight ones. Am I overhyping them? Am I underhyping them? Is there some weird wacky combo that has gone over my head that you've all discovered while I've been recording this? What do you think of the lore that's going on here? I think my biggest complaint is that none of these cards really seem to fit in with the lore that's going on right now. Of course, we have to look for our spell and trap cards to figure out stuff like this, and I just don't... There's a lot of lines here, but I'm not seeing a lot of stuff going on, so... If I'm missing something, please let me know down below, because I'm looking forward to seeing where this story goes next, even if I think they're not necessarily off to the greatest of starts. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, Konami drops some juicy spoilers. I will see all of you next time. Bye-bye. Today's episode is brought to you by Dragon Shield. Get the sleeves as strong as dragon scales and get 5% off your order by using the coupon code GoldenNova at checkout. It was also brought to you by my lovely patrons, including this month's illustrious Quasar Commanders, Upstairs Media and Natiel Lee Alexander, Nebula Navigator's 3rd Dynasty, 50 Gigabytes, Ada Basilisk, Adam Zajdel, Owexotoa Hime, Anansi Dragon, Ancient Wizard, Andrew Newman, Battle Axe, Kane Senpai, Chibi Gohan, Christopher Fuss, Clockswork, Comrade Copperbottom, Eric, Frankie, Garland Chaos, Great Big Pillock, Hair Bear, Happy Majin, Harry the Ominous Benefactor, Iron Zero, Iskander 711, Carp, Mana Charge, Marion James E. Picata, Megacombi is entering the Chrysalis, Millennia Asta, Muse Clark, Orozco 09096, Panther J, Pat Poos, Rank 10 Trains, Rebel King Lucifer, Red Eyes Jackalow, RJ the Jank Monarch, The Critic of Innocence, Thievery Coast and the Wizard Moose, Cosmic Crusaders Animasta, Baron Von Titty Sprinkles, Buelcifer, Fish, Beluga Masta, Blitzwolf, Caesar M, Chaz Ghost, Dr. Reaper, R.I.P., Eva Padilla, Hike Boyagian, Herbal D, Ignis Heat, the True Draco Slayer, Kale the Dragon, Kevon Public, Lobomaru 02, Manga Pages, Matt Simmons, Mick Spoofy, Mike, Nitromo, Not Al Gore, Nyx, Obsidian, Pokemon, Rainer Leong, Rhyme Kairos, Shizuka Nijimura, Sophie, apparently, Stephen Williamson, The Legendary Raven, The Phantom Knights of Shitted Pants, The Gene, Tiger X2476, Weasel King of Weaseltown, and Zaldreka, as well as the wonderful Starlight Explorers you see on screen now. If you'd like to help me in my journey to cover all of Yu-Gi-Oh's archetypes, get my videos early, be a part of these credits and other awesome perks, it would mean the world to me if you would check out the link to my Patreon in the description or consider joining as a YouTube member.